Testing. Testing, testing. Welcome. Let's chat about Freemasonry. 1 a.m. stream. As you know, I do these streams Mondays through Fridays, 1 a.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Eastern, usually at 1 a.m. I don't have any specific topics. Rather, I just wait to see who is going to join and what they want to talk about when it comes to Freemasonry. Last week, on Saturday, I talked about Freemasonry in Venezuela because, for obvious reasons, Venezuela's in the news. And I thought it might be interesting to explore that history a little bit. The really cool thing about South America is it has a really fascinating Masonic history. And I posted the information about that. Welcome, No Filter. I did sleep, not right now, but I will be going to sleep soon. I'm just going to do a 1 a.m. stream as always to hang out and see who joins. It is Monday at 1 a.m. I do these normally. I start my weekly streams Monday 1 p.m. Then I do on Tuesday 1 a.m. But I figured, you know what? Try Monday 1 a.m. For whatever reason, No Filter boss. I don't know why, but people seem to really like my 1 a.m. streams are actually way more popular than my 1 p.m. streams. I actually, for the first time in my live streaming kind of history, managed to get over 100 concurrent viewers during a 1 a.m. stream. I think I got it about 2 a.m. or so. So that was really, really cool. So yeah, it was interesting. I don't know why. Maybe people are like me and don't like, our night owls. Who knows why? But yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to give it a bit of time though. Let's see. So for now, they're just going to hang out, wait to see who joins and who wants to jump in the chat. No specific topics. I just wait to answer comments. I am debating a couple of different topics for the 1 p.m. stream on Monday. I was considering actually doing the talking about geometry. We'll see how that goes. That was one thought I had. Or especially Euclid, or talking about not so much political Freemasonry, because Freemasonry isn't political, it's not a political entity, but rather the way that Freemasonry has influenced politics and vice versa. I do not know what that is, Soldier 6506. Please like and subscribe. I do not know what that stream is. Evening, the linear group, thank you for being here. My thoughts on Scientology, I don't know anything about Scientology, so it's really, I think I got a zit on my nose. That's my thoughts on that. I don't know anything about Scientology. I guess what I'd say is I have no real opinion on it other than, I believe that Scientologists believe in a supreme being based on my knowledge of it, and therefore they're welcome to join Freemasonry if you are a Scientologist. But I couldn't speak to it specifically. I'm one who I don't want to be a reviler of anybody's religion or faith, and if somebody finds comfort and peace in Scientology, then more power to them, I suppose. Hello, Gabe Can't Say. I hope you're doing well. It's interesting because there is right across from me in Detroit a Scientology headquarters. I always pass it when I'm in Detroit. At this point, I feel like I need to stop in there and say hello because people are always asking me what my thoughts are on Scientology. And I never have a good answer, so because I know very little about it. Like I said, to my knowledge, they believe in a supreme being of some sort. So I guess I'd say, I've never met a Scientologist who's also a Freemason, but I'm sure it's possible. if I walk in, well, I wouldn't walk in, Gabe. I'd wheel in my wheelchair, so I guess I'd be safer. I'm just kidding, but I mean, yeah, I don't know if I've ever, to be honest, even met a Scientologist. I'm sure I probably have and just didn't know it, right? Because people aren't going to just volunteer their religious beliefs necessarily. But I can't think of any I've met. I know about what Tom Cruise. I think Tom Cruise and John Travolta are the two most famous Scientologists, if I'm not mistaken. But I think I'd be okay. I think I'd be okay. I'm not gonna worry about what the evil Scientologists might do to me. I think I'd be all right. I did really enjoy the video game series called Dead Space, and supposedly the Unitology religion, which are kind of the bad guys within the Dead Space universe, I guess are based on Scientology, I suppose. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's just what I heard somewhere. Well, I mean, I try to keep an open mind, balls. I mean, I'm not balls 1-1. I'm not, again, I'm not religious myself. I believe in a supreme being, but I mean, again, I try not to judge people's beliefs necessarily, so long as they're not hurting other people, obviously. What's up, Fred? Thank you for being here. I would not. I mean, first of all, it would depend if they. I don't think they have the authority to tell me what I can and can't stream, and they wouldn't be able to stop me. Now, if they were to tell me I would either have to stop streaming or no longer be a Freemason, I would continue streaming, and I would. It's called demit from lodge to focus on this. Although I'm a member of different jurisdictions, so even if I've demitted from one jurisdiction, I would still be part of uh, two others. Um, because I believe that Freemasonry is important. I believe that for Freemasonry to continue, it needs to have an online presence. It needs to talk to people. It needs to be relevant in people's lives. And the way you are relevant in people's lives is by reaching them, talking to them, and forming relationships with them. Like, I would hope that I'm relevant in everyone's lives here on the channel. Obviously, I should not be as relevant as your family and your friends and your work and other things, but I'm hoping that you at least enjoy hanging out with me and watching me, and you enjoy learning about Freemasonry, which is ultimately the goal. Even if nobody joins, I just hope this channel is in some way, shape, or form relevant to you. Sabad, well, I don't think I'm a loser, but I guess people can agree or disagree with me. But I am a member of Freemasonry, and I am a member of a lodge in Israel. I wouldn't call it Israeli Freemasonry. I'm not a fan of that term. I call it Grand Lodge of Israel, Masonic Lodge. What's so? I do not know what the new crusade is, Voltro Mabel. Um, so I'm not sure to what you're referring. I mean, the old crusades, obviously, I think I have concerns with any action that results in significant losses of life, although certainly Freemasonry, when developing the Knights Templar, borrowed from an order, the Knights Templar themselves, or York Rite, I should say. When developing York Rite, borrowed from an order that had a significant presence within the Crusades. Nigerian, what would I not listen to? Oh, that's badass. Well, I mean, you have to, one of the things you have to understand when you're choosing to go on stream is, if you're part of a group or an organization and you choose to go on and talk about it, people may not like it, and you have to decide, how much are you willing to sacrifice? I mean, famously, Steve Jobs, I'm not comparing myself to Steve Jobs in terms of intelligence. I think Steve Jobs was way more intelligent than I am, nor, in terms of reach. Steve Jobs did way more, had a greater impact on the world. But the point is, he was fired from Apple, right? You have to be willing to push against, you have to be willing to push for what you believe. And if that brings you into conflict with others, even those who are higher ranks, then so be it. Now, Again, that doesn't mean I would ever say anything disrespectful of higher ranks, or that doesn't mean I'd ever say anything disrespectful of Freemasonry. But I think that if Freemasonry is to grow and is to exist 100 years from now, there are things it needs to do and ways forward it needs to pursue. And I think it's more important that I try to pursue those ways than anything else. Um, so Voltro, I hope, by the way, Voltro Mabel, you'll hit the like and subscribe button. I would really appreciate that. Again, I don't know about a new crusade or even a new call for faith. I mean, I would say I will always support anybody who is trying to grow stronger within their faith, whatever faith that may be, whether that is Israel, whether that is Judaism, Christianity, the Muslim faith, indigenous, belief systems or faiths, Hindu, Sikh, Buddhism, whatever it is, however it is you choose to worship your supreme being, whatever brings you closer, I will support that and your efforts to get there. Um, how do I believe is less wrong? Well, that's an interesting way to put it, North Dot Nathaniel. I don't know how to respond to that. I think, look, again, what I'll always say on this question of the Middle East is I'm a firm believer that you need to separate the people from the government. So, the people of Israel, I wish them nothing but the best and happiness and health, and the people of Palestine and Gaza, the same thing, right? I don't think you can judge either. I have some significant concerns with the government of Israel, but that does not, first of all, that's me speaking personally. That's not speaking for Freemasonry. And I'm proud to be a member of a Masonic lodge in Israel. So I don't really know what I'd say. What I'd say is, I just think the most important thing we do now is not judge the people for the actions of the government. It has to do balls with the atmosphere. That's a good question. I love science, but I'm the worst person to answer that question. I'm not nearly smart enough. It has to do with science and with science. It has to do with the atmosphere of the Earth, which I believe it's able to capture the photons and the energy coming from the sun, and then direct it towards the Earth. Whereas, in space in general, there's nothing to capture the heat, so it just dissipates forever and ever until it hits something with atmosphere, whether it be any one of the planets for that matter, or I'm sure on the surface of some asteroids, if they're big enough and are facing the sun, it probably gets warm, I would think. So that's a good question, Raleigh. No, Serene. Again, Freemasonry is not political. That was, the Maduro, Venezuela, that is nothing to do with Freemasonry. Those are political decisions. There is Freemasonry in Venezuela, as there is Freemasonry in America, but no. So, well, Wally, please hit like and subscribe. Sammy, please hit like and subscribe. So I do this for work. I'm trying to turn this into a profession. I'm trying to turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession. I've said before that I got some didn't notice that before. I think I had some chips on me. There we go. I am trying to turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession. So please like, subscribe, and do a super chat. Just 99-cent super chat. Well, I think the sun is a type of fusion, right, Balls? Again, I have done a lot of podcast episodes on science, but I'm the worst person to answer these questions. I had chips on my shoulder. I had crumbs, but I got rid of them now. But I just noticed that a second ago. Looked like I had some crumbs on my shirt. So I got rid of them, so we're good. Thank you, Cotton. I am a huge fan of people with the like and subscribe button. Your girlfriend is incorrect. Freemasonry is not demonic. Freemasonry is not really a religion of any sort, demonic or otherwise. Freemasonry is a civic organization or a civic group, equivalent to Rotary or just really just a formalized guys' night out, to be perfectly honest. But Freemasonry is not demonic. Please hit the like and subscribe button. I would very much appreciate it. And as to why your girlfriend, I mean, Sammy Sosa Jr., by all means, you're welcome to, ask her why she thinks it's demonic, and I'll do my best to try to answer. Um, well, she can think that. I mean, that's her right to think whatever she chooses. I guess I can't control what people think. Hopefully, I can. I mean, maybe I'll never be able to convince you that I'm correct, but I hope that at very least I could convince you that I believe I'm telling the truth. Um, I have just subscribed. I'll do my best to not let you down. Um, Wally says all my grandparents, great grandparents were all Masons. So my grandparents, both grandfathers, were Freemasons, as is my father and an uncle. And I believe my great grandparent, at least one great grandfather, was also a Freemason. So it's always cool to have that family connections. Now, what you need to be really careful of, and I've told this to people in the past, is don't assume that just because you have family connections that or don't assume that you need to have family connections to be a Freemason. There are many people who join Freemasonry for the first time without having any family connections therein. There are many who join and have family connections. I don't think they are balls. I don't think they are. Tell us some history of it. I mean, Eric, that's a great question, but it's very broad. There's so much history to go over. There's the ancients versus the moderns. There's Freemasonry in different regions. I mean, the Cliff Notes, again, is Freemasonry evolved from stonemasonry guilds in the Middle Ages, 15th and 16th centuries. The first Grand Lodge was formed June 24th, 1717, in London, England. Well, she doesn't have to. That's fine. Then I wish her nothing but a great life, and she's allowed to believe whatever she so chooses. That's a weird question. I mean, I'm a firm believer in vaccinations, North. It's not, I mean, I don't know what you mean by for free. If, I don't know if I ever have kids or not, so if I have a cat. But I can tell you for myself, I have got all the vaccinations as required, including required for travel or recommended for travel. And yeah, people should get vaccinated. Um, I'm big, this is a pro-vaccine channel. That's my opinion. That's not necessarily a Masonic opinion, but that is my opinion. And yeah, I hope that everybody will take the time to get themselves vaccinated pursuant to doctor's instructions. Um, well, you should never assume that anyone is Masonic, Wally, right? There's a lot of people who have a lot of different conspiracy ideas about Freemasonry. Some assume, for example, that anybody in a position of authority at a certain level is a Freemason. I've had people on these streams say every president and prime minister is a Freemason, which is not the case. Some people assume rich people are Freemasons. Some people assume, somebody people will assume if somebody has a shirt with a square and compass on it or compasses, they're automatically a Freemason. You never assume those things, right? Especially because Freemasonry, in terms of its numbers, is dropping so significantly. Rather, due diligence is always required. And from the conspiracy side of it, being a Freemason does not guarantee you any type of power or, fame or riches. So this argument of people with political power must be Freemasons or people with lots of money must be Freemasons, that's just conspiracy theory nonsense. So don't be buying into that. Um, well, Raleigh, I mean, what I would say is you shouldn't join for either of those reasons. Raleigh, Haller, boy, you, you should, if you're interested in joining Freemasonry, right, you need to understand Freemasons are human beings. There's going to be some good ones. There's going to be some ones that you don't get along with, some ones you do get along with. Like, yes, hopefully Freemasons act in a manner that people do get along with them because when you're a Freemason and people know it, the way you act represents the craft. But ultimately, I think instead of relying on, the sample size of two people, one of whom is a prick, one of whom is a good dude. Rather, what you should do is, go to the Masonic Lodge, express your interest in learning more, not in joining, in learning more, and meet as many different brethren as you can. So, A, you have a larger sample size, and B, Freemasonry is not exclusively about, like, you can join because you like the people, and that should be the starting point. But you should also join because you have an interest in what Freemasonry is. You have an interest in ceremony and ritual and history. There should be something that speaks to you about Freemason personally that's not dependent on the personalities of, Masons if that makes any sense. I believe in a supreme, it is a social club, balls. I believe in a supreme being. I wouldn't use the term God because I think God is more Christian context or whatever, like, or Muslim, or but it has more religious context. I wouldn't describe myself as religious, but I do believe in a supreme being. I definitely believe that we are not the exclusive type of, we are not the exclusive thing. There is a higher power. There is a supreme being. Um, I Legend, Jesus, this is me speaking personally. I don't believe in reincarnation, but I also don't know enough about the actual, like, I suppose if I learn more about the actual tenets of what they mean, I mean, because you could argue when you pass away, your body breaks down, the cells, break apart from your body and become part of the soil, become part of plants, become part of the universe again. That's a type of reincarnation, I guess. Um, so I am not worshiping the devil, but okay. Would I be able to recommend a volunteer organization or community organization that doesn't have ritual? I mean, Funk Congress, I would recommend almost any of them. I think that society is made better when we have stronger civic institutions. So when it comes to that doesn't have ceremony, I mean, Rotarians, I think might be a good choice. I think sports might be a good choice. I think reading circles. I was just today at a creative writing group at the library. I suspect that your local library, especially if it's a, medium-sized town, tends to usually have advertisements for different types of groups and organizations that don't involve at least more formalized ceremonies. Darts, it's hard to say because I don't know what you're into, Fun Congress. What I will recommend to you is hit the like button and hit the subscribe button and consider a super chat. Herzen Ritter, I mean, I think Demole is awesome. It's a Masonic youth group for young men. If I'm getting the ages correct, ages 9 to 21, if I recall correctly. I mean, I think oftentimes what Freemasons fail to do is we fail to properly appreciate not just the appendant bodies, but the different Masonic groups that are under the umbrella of Freemasonry, like Demole, Rainbow, Eastern Star, amongst others. Well, the Stonecutters is from The Simpsons. They're not the same as Freemasons. They're a fictional organization. I don't know. I'd flip a coin, Yuri. But no, I think Demole is excellent organization. So North dot Nathaniel just asked me the trolley problem. I don't know if people know it or not, but there's a train heading towards a fork in a track. On one side is 5 people, on the other side there is 1. If I do nothing, 5 people will be hit, or I can divert it, killing the 1. I would divert it because I'm a utilitarian. I believe that we have responsibility to try to minimize harm, both, and I also believe that not taking action is action. So in my opinion, if you do nothing, then because you had the capacity to stop it and you didn't, you have killed 5 people, as opposed to if you switch the tracks, then you've ultimately saved 4 people. So yeah. Thank you, Rodolph, I can't pronounce your name. Thank you, Rodolph. I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. Um, They are not the same, right? They are not the same. Are Hermetics studied in Freemason lodges? I mean, not directly, but indirectly, sure. I mean, in the sense that certainly within Freemasonry, there's this, I think certain moral lessons are illuminated, the origin of that morality from whence one derives morality is a religious question, but a moral lesson itself, like the value of teamwork, the value of tolerance, I think you can illuminate those as practical, valuable steps, and then rely on somebody's, let's say, religious beliefs to understand kind of from whence they derived, or to why. Freemasonry is more concerned with the how to live, not the why of living, if that makes sense. So I would say in an indirect way, not direct. I'd say Hermeticism really has not impacted Freemasonry that much. Um, but certainly the idea of knowledge is, gnosis, Gnosticism, and Hermetics are kind of related, does make its way into Freemasonry. That's a psychopathic trait. I don't think it is legend, I would say, but I don't know what the DSM is. It just, to me, it seems like doing nothing is an action too. And by doing nothing, you allow five people to be killed by this oncoming train. It's very hard for me to see the value in that when you could pull something and end up, I guess, in a sense, you're saving, what, six people? Or no, you're saving five people. Um, in a total like balance, there's six lives at stake. In one circumstance, five people are killed. In the other circumstance, one person is killed. So to me, pulling the lever is the obvious thing to do. Um, Deontological way for the win. Mr. Keeps, you're using big words for 1:30 in the morning on January 5th. It's 5 days in to 2026, for heaven's sakes. And you're already pulling out like five-syllable words. But I'd be playing God either way. Um, right? Because either way, I'm making a choice. I've never understood this argument of doing nothing as not being a choice, right? Um, doing something or doing nothing, in both cases, it's a choice that you're making, right? And so either way, you've been put in the position to play God. And so I wouldn't even use the term play God. You've been put in, because it's no different than, I mean, there's a million other kind of types of trolley problems, but at the end of the day, the ultimate understanding is the choice not to act is a choice. Steve Gutenberg, when it comes to Freemasonry, because of the Stonecutters episode. No, I would never do that, legend. I love music. Music is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy. Do you support the funding of artificial intelligence? I mean, yes. Um, I would have to know a little bit more about what you mean by funding, because that's a very broad term. Do you mean public funding? Do you mean private individuals funding it? Like who is doing the funding? As a general rule, though, I've taught you this before, I'm a believer in technology. My life would be significantly worse if not for the technological innovations of the last, I guess, forever, right? Freemasonry, in some ways, is a technologically innovative group in that it was founded on stone masonry guilds, and you could argue stone masonry and stone tools were the earliest forms of technological advancement. So well, I'm not afraid of artificial intelligence the way many others are. So looks like Mr. Keeps is a Kantian fella. I think you shouldn't pull the lever, CC. What's interesting about this, and this is a really important, by the way, CC, please hit like and subscribe. This is a really important point, I think, to make. People always talk about Freemasonry as though it's some universal, like every Freemason thinks the same way or believes the same things. And that's not the case. So if you were to give this trolley problem to 50 Freemasons, you might get 50 different answers. Or, I guess there's only two choices, but some Freemasons will choose to pull the lever, some will choose not. Both will have their reasons. But when you're talking about these philosophical ideas, and one of the most fun things, and the things I most enjoy within Freemasonry is after a lodge, we're hanging out, grabbing food or whatever it might be, and we're just shooting the poop upstairs. And we've had these debates and discussions. I remember once we spent like 3 hours after a lodge debating what you could, what you'd rather have to fight to the death, one wolf or a bunch of fire ants that equal in weight to one wolf. And the whole debate was, what would you have a better chance at killing or surviving if it attacked you? I said I could, survive the fire ants that were the weight of the wolf. So it'd be like millions of fire ants. Everybody else picked the wolf. They thought I was crazy. But I was like, you can just smush the ants. So these things are fun. Herzen, it does. Celestial canopy. I mean, the meaning, really, it's meant to represent the heavens. Like literally, in some ways, not so much in a like religious sense, because every Freemason will have a different understanding of the afterlife based on his religion, but more the heavens in the sense of kind of where we're all going somewhat, if that makes sense. Like whatever is after this based on your religious beliefs or your understanding of it. Um, but yeah, I mean, hers, and I don't know if you saw, especially honestly, many times in North America, they're actually not that beautifully done. I mean, they tend to be relatively plain, the roofs, even though some aren't. Most tend to be relatively plain, at least in my experience. But South America, those ceilings are beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. I am neither 33 years of age, Josh, nor 33rd degree, if that's what you're referring to. So Scottish Rite and Shriners are not the same, Rodolph. Scottish Rite is, and Shriners are both appendant bodies. So to be either a member of the Scottish Rite or a Shriner, you must first be a Freemason. Well, CC3934, please hit the like and subscribe button. Looks like you and I are disagree. I still think I would rather take on the ants than the wolf. Um, I do not know Terrace Romanuk. Awesome, Rodolph. Yeah, my dad is a Freemason as well, but he is not of the appendant bodies. He's stuck to the craft lodges, which is fine. Third degree is the highest degree within Freemasonry. Um, and you do this. There seems to be online this weird obsession with like degrees and ranks, and yeah, I don't know necessarily where that comes from, but it demonstrates a misunderstanding of Freemasonry in that, again, the third degree is the highest degree. So I support the development of AI. Now, again, that doesn't mean, I guess, willy-nilly. Like, I'd like to see more public oversight within it, but I will always take the pro-technology side over the anti-technology side, because, again, my life would be significantly worse were it not for technology. So I am not a fan of that view, Josh G. I mean, we may have all. I'm a believer in evolution. I don't think that evolution is an automatic, evolution and religious understanding are automatically exclusionary. I think Noah, the movie, demonstrated this in an interesting way. But I think, there's a realm for science, there's a realm for religion, there's a realm for civics, there's a realm for politics. I think Freemasonry is in the civics and community realm. Evolution is in the scientific realm. The meaning of life is maybe more in a religious one. You kind of have to figure it out as you go. Well, my nose is perfect. All right. My nose is perfect. It doesn't need fixing. I don't need fixing. I'm comfortable with my ugly face. Um, would you ever consider hitting the like and subscribe button? I think is a better question. Venezuelan Revolution, we'll see. I actually talked on a previous stream about Freemasonry in Venezuela. It's fascinating. So check out that previous stream. I think it's really, really cool. By the way, I was having real issues with the audio. So what I do now is I start my streams in the unlisted mode, test the audio, and if the audio is good, I switch it to public. However, what that means is on some pre-recordings, it's still starting with the testing phase, where I'm saying testing, testing, or kind of testing the camera, making funny faces. So if you're finding a previous live stream and it starts out being very quiet, that is because I am doing the testing. Give it a couple seconds, I'll start talking. Um, so I don't know a lot, Hers and Ritter, about Skull and Bones. It's a Yale, to my knowledge, it's a Yale fraternity. I heard that George W. Bush was a member of, though I don't know for sure. I mean, it's connected to Freemasonry in that they're both kind of fraternal, or Freemasonry is not exclusively, but both kind of known as fraternal organizations, and both being of the civic organization variety, in that they're community organizations. Beyond that, I know very little about them. Yes, I have a great personality, an ugly face, but a great personality. CC, thank you. Um, when I'm on the stream, a lot of people point out they think I look ugly. I have either an ugly nose or big forehead or big gap in my teeth. I don't mind because, I'm perfect just the way I am, and my mom said so too. But thank you for that, CC394. Welcome back, Google Isn't God. Welcome from the Purple Mountains of West Virginia. Song playlist. What's going on? Large Nose is lucky. I'm taking it. RBA, please hit like and subscribe. I'm 2 subscribers away from 3,230 subs. So let's see if I can get there on this stream. I keep meaning to read the Quran. I really want to. I'm trying to read the Bible and the Quran again because I want to be more conversant in the religious beliefs of my brethren, because you should care about the things they care about. So if they care about, their religious beliefs, I want to be able to at least be conversant in it and understand the basics of it. So that's my goal. I don't pray because I'm not really religious per se. The extent to which I pray, I think I try to sit and contemplate the universe, the order of the universe, and the manner in which I can best live in accordance with nature, as in Stoic philosophy. I don't 2,000 likes, song playlist. That would be incredibly kind, but I don't think I'm gonna get to 2,000 likes on this stream. But it is growing. So, Freemasons have rituals or ceremonies. There's different degrees, but the thing you need to keep in mind, CC, is no 2 degrees are exactly the same based on your jurisdiction. So the degrees in Texas are different than the degrees in Michigan, different than the degrees in Ontario. I never really talk specifically about the degrees or rituals, other than to say there's nothing in them that has ever been dangerous, scary, or against anyone's religious, civic, familial work responsibilities. I am a 3rd degree Master Mason, which is the highest degree in Freemasonry. Then I'm 18th degree Scottish Rite as well. I also have the office of Worshipful Master of Border Cities Lodge number 554. The movie National Treasure did have a ton of Masonic connections. I know a lot of Freemasons really liked it. They used to talk about it a lot back in the day. Thank you for liking the stream. Well, thank you. I don't think I'm ugly. I say that as a joke. I think I look fine. If I had to define myself as my looks, I don't know. I'd probably give myself a 6.5, which I think is pretty decent. 6 to 6.5. But it is the internal and not external qualifications that Freemasonry cares about, right? Freemasonry doesn't care about how you look. It cares about how you act and what you are. I think 6.5 is decent. But I mean, plus I'm a dude. All dudes are not attractive. It's the fairer sex that is the more attractive, I will say. I don't disagree with you, Legend. Beauty is within. Darknet8664. How do we become a Mason? The old question, the old answer, to be one, ask one. So Darknet, if you're interested in being a Mason, what you need to do is find a Masonic lodge that's close to you, contact them. You can either try to get in touch with them in person or send them a letter or an email or a phone call and just express your interest in joining. And that's the first step. You have to go and you have to approach them and express your interest. No, I've been a Freemason since 2007. So it's crazy to think it's been that long, almost 20 years, which is nuts to me that it's been that long. I sometimes can't believe it feels like it was just yesterday. It feels like it was just a couple of days ago, honestly. Sometimes 20 years ago feels like another lifetime. Sometimes it feels like 5 minutes ago. I mean, easier now than in the past, legend, because the numbers of Freemasons are dropping so significantly. I mean, it also depends where you live, right? Like, uh, I would say in some parts of the world where Freemasons, like you could, if you live in Dubai, for example, you may go your whole life without ever meeting a Mason. Again, that's not to say there are no Masons in Dubai. They can travel through, they can be there for work. Um, I would say it's possible. I mean, honestly, it gets more and more likely every year as our Masonic numbers drop every year. So, song, playlist, video. Um, well, then I hope that I've lived my life in such a manner that would be pleasing to the God that is coming back. Um, Boom, roasted. I'm losing brain cells. If you want to get those brain cells back, you should hit the like and subscribe button. Get yourself up to, help me get to 3,230. Um, my father, awesome, Stacy Lynn. My father is a Mason as well, as is both of my, they passed away, both of my grandfathers. So, yeah, it's crazy. Many people have these family connections within Freemasonry. Again, not everybody, and it's not necessary to join, but many people do have family connections to Freemasonry. Right, a lot of people make the mistake of, especially, I don't know where it comes from, but they have this idea that to be a Freemason, you have to join a lodge where you have family members who are Freemasons. And again, that is just not the case. You don't need to have family members who are Freemasons to be a Freemason yourself. You may want to have family members who are Freemasons. You may want to join them, be part of the lodge, but it's not necessary. So right now on subscribers, I have 3,228 subscribers. Now, when you say followers, you mean followers on Facebook, followers on Instagram? Because if you go to Squaring Up Promotions, I have a ton of different sites with different, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that jazz. Gator, if anybody's poisoning you, you should call the police. If anybody's poisoning you, it does not. I mean, I don't really know what the throat sounds would be referring to. Yeah, so I have 3,228 subscribers. I'm honored to have that many. Hopefully, get a few more tonight. I also have a personal channel, youtube.com/Cameron Adamson, where I have 315 subs. I do not, I'm not going to say that because I feel like that probably sounds like something. Please hit like and subscribe. So Raleigh, there was not for my grandfather on my dad's side passed away before I was born. So I actually don't know the type of funeral service he had. Papa, my grandfather on my mom's side, did not have a special funeral service, but there is something called a Masonic service. That is one of the few services, at least in Ontario, that can be done where you get to wear your regalia in public, your aprons. It's for the public. And here's where I say it's for the public. It's for the people in the funeral service, family and friends. And it's a way for Freemasons to say goodbye to a departed brother, and to show respect to his family. In part is to show respect to the family just to say we recognize your loss, and we feel a level of your pain having lost a brother ourselves. Certainly, it's not as painful as losing a husband or father, but we definitely feel that loss in some ways. But also, it's kind of a way to say thank you to the family for allowing us to share time with him, because every time that Mason came to a Masonic lodge, he was stepping away from his wife, stepping away from his kids. And when he passes away, we want to be there with his wife and kids just to say kind of thank you for allowing us to spend time with him. And also, we are to a certain extent grieving with you. And also it's a chance for Masons to demonstrate brotherly love in public. I've got so many cards. Google isn't God. I've got so many cards. Um, don't have to be sorry for my. It was a long time ago that my grandparents passed away. I mean, I miss them. I never met my grandfather, but I will say being a Freemason makes me feel um, closer to them, right? So when people talk about why be a Freemason, I can say one of the benefits I get from Freemasonry is I do feel closer to my grandfathers being a Mason, especially my grandfather on my dad's side, who I never met. Papa, I knew him. I had a good relationship with him. He was a great grandfather, a great dude. And so I think even if I wasn't a Freemason, I'd probably still feel like I had a pretty decent relationship and connection with him. But being a Mason, it definitely makes me feel closer to my grandfather on my dad's side because I never got to meet him or got to know him. And so this is kind of something I can share with him, even though he's no longer with us. Legend, I don't think I don't know what supporting that would mean. I mean, I'm a two-stater. This is me personally speaking. I believe, you need a Israel state and a Palestinian state. So I'm a two-state solution kind of guy. I don't know if it'll happen or how it'll happen, but I think that's the best approach. No, Freemasonry will never force one to join. If anybody is joining because they are forced to join, then the lodge should decline their application. Like if somebody were to come to lodge and say, I'm joining because my dad is forcing me to join, I don't think I would stick around. Um, or I don't think I'd accept him. People need to join of their own free will and accord. Then song playlist, get yourself to sleep. You've got school in 6 hours. You should not be awake. But thank you for being here. First, hit the like button, then go to sleep. I got big teeth and a big nose, Mr. Fox. You should hit the like and subscribe button. I am one sub away from 3,230 subs. So help a brother out. Literally, I am a Masonic brother, so help a brother out. I'm not saying I'm your brother. I'm just saying I'm a brother. I'm someone's brother. We did it. We made it. 3,230 subs. Honestly, I'm going to say this again. My content has been doing incredibly well. I mean, relative to the past, right? I'm growing a lot, and I'm grateful for that. For the first time ever, a couple days ago, I had over 100 subs watching concurrently. Again, this isn't, Candace Owens numbers, but it's big numbers for me. So just, yeah, I'm grateful for everybody who helps make that possible. And thank you, Mr. Fox. I mean, who knows, Legend? I hope so. I think that's the hope for every nation or nations, that they learn to live in peace and harmony with one another. Forrest Frank is a Christian singer, rapper, I think. I've seen a couple of his songs. He's pretty good. I mean, as a general rule, I don't listen to a ton of Christian music, but I mean, he's definitely a skilled musician. Kyle, I find that it helps. Like when I'm doing vertical live streams, I definitely get more audience than when I'm doing horizontal or like on my computer live streams. But I also don't ever want to give up on any particular format, right? Like this is working great, so I'm going to keep doing these, but I'm also going to keep doing podcast interviews. I'm going to keep doing written content. I'm going to keep doing stuff on other streams and channels and social media. Twitch, whatever it might be. Like I want to try my best to keep trying different, different things. I talked about this before, right? One of the most important things when it comes to like with Freemasonry, we need to not be afraid to experiment. We need to not be afraid to try different things. And that also includes Square and Compass Promotions and this YouTube channel. I want to be willing to try different formats, different types of streaming, different types of content. Just see what works, what doesn't. I may start looking at doing something like that, Kyle. Like I may even try to do a thing where I stream on two platforms at the same time just to see how it goes. I'm curious to see if I get people jumping in on both. I don't know how I would do it. I haven't decided that yet, but I want to give it a shot. Um, Mr. Fox, we'll see what happens. I mean, I think in general, I'm concerned about kind of how far this goes and what the next thing is and the next thing is and the next thing is, but I guess we'll see what happens. Either way, I think in times of difficulty, and if you think this is a time of difficulty, um, like me, then I hope that we can take some faith, and not faith is the right word, take some heart in the idea of civic organizations and civic groups doing what they can to to at least soften the blow from some of these challenges, like providing charity and aid work and support and help and a place for people to gather, and try to find some support. I mean, it's interesting, Mr. Fox, with Iran. That's a really fascinating topic Masonically because there was Freemasonry in Iran up until the Iranian Revolution, which was, I think, 79. I could be mistaken. I could be getting that number wrong, or date wrong. But there was Freemasonry up until the revolution. And when the revolution took place, actually many Masons left Iran, and there was actually a Grand Lodge of Iran in exile, which presently, to my knowledge, actually meets in California. There is no lizard people. There are no lizard people. Very sorry. Restream. I'll try that. I'll check that out for sure, Kyle. I mean, what I could even consider doing is setting up this camera on Twitch and then doing the YouTube on my computer so I'd have two different cameras, two different angles. I don't know. I'm considering it. Dependent. I think it might be kind of fun experiment. Michael, that is true. Maybe I am a lizard person. I mean, I could be. I'm not going to promise you I'm not, but because that's what a lizard person would say. Although, Michael, I have a cat song playlist. I have a cat named Bandit. So, Michael, I do think that kind of, even though what you say there, I'm going to take that as kind of facetious. It is actually a really valuable point that you make, right? One of the most pernicious things about conspiracy theories is how it kind of doesn't ever give you a way to argue against it. Because if somebody online says, Freemasons are, sacrificing humans to their evil deity, right? If that's their conspiracy theory and they say that, it's like when I deny it, because it's not true, obviously, the obvious response to that is, well, of course you're denying it. If you admit it, then you're admitting to crimes. So the denial is assumed, like you can't deny it because it's, of course, he denies it. So it's like you do this thing where you're kind of screwed no matter what you do. And if you don't address it at all, you're accused of ignoring it. And you kind of are stuck in this boat. That's why conspiracies are so pernicious. All I can say is, no, we don't. And then if people say, well, of course you would deny it, what can you do at that point, right? But that's why conspiracy theories are so pernicious. I am live streaming tomorrow. Technically, I'm live streaming today at January 5th, 1 p.m. Eastern. So Pikachu, again, there is no Dave, I do not. I want you to hit the like and subscribe button. There is no single Masonic view on any topic, including Alex Jones. Even in Masonic topics, every Mason will have his own opinions. I can say I personally am not a fan, but others are. So I don't know. You'd have to ask each Freemason. I personally am not a fan of Alex Jones, though. Yeah, well, the Illuminati rally, I'm definitely, my thoughts are it's a pain in the butt because the Illuminati was a group that was founded in 1777 by a gentleman named Adam Weishaupt. They really don't exist in an organized or meaningful way as of, certainly the last century. So my views on them is normally I just get annoyed that people keep on conflating the two groups. I keep on assuming they're one and the same, and also the number of scams that exist where people will say they are a member of like the Masonic Order of the Illuminati and try to scam money out of people. So I find them very annoying. Um, well, I definitely will get, I have well over 2,000 subscribers. My question now is how do I get 2,000 likes on a stream? That would be incredible. Or even 2,000 people watching this stream. That would be incredible. Um, I do not know what the Y files are, RBA. Um, well, Mark, if it's bad, talk to a doctor. Drink lots of water, get lots of fluids, talk to a doctor. And hit the like and subscribe button. It won't help you with with your bathroom issues at the moment, but maybe it will, make you feel better emotionally to help a brother out. That's my best piece of advice for you, for whatever it's worth. But no, I'm well on my way. I mean, again, 3,230 subscribers is incredible. I've got, in case people are curious as to my analytics, my views are up. I've got 24,600 more views than usual in the last 28 days. I've got 472, basically 473 more hours than usual, and 160 more subscribers than usual. Unfortunately, I have 5% less revenue, so if you can help me out with that, give me a super chat, just 99 cents. Help me boost that revenue a little bit. Legend, maybe I'm Jewish, maybe I'm not. It's irrelevant. Freemasonry does not discriminate based on one's ethnicity or religious beliefs. Um, I mean, what I'd say is, Raleigh, let's not give medical advice. Anybody who is experiencing any type of bathroom problems, talk to your doctor and drink lots of water. Um, I appreciate that, Pikachu. I try my best. Believe me, I fail as often as I succeed, but I'm working on it. So, the best way to help me get my views up, I know it's cliche, but it's true. Like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good jazz. Find me on social media. Find me on the socials. Help a brother out. Well, Mark, I mean, I don't like to block people if I can help it. I'll put people in timeout. But if my goal on this channel is to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to communities in which it's located and talk about Masonic interest, if I'm blocking people, that's one less person I can reach with that information. So I have not been on TikTok for ages, but yes, same name on TikTok. I don't even know my TikTok account anymore, to be honest. I can't remember the last time I posted anything on TikTok. I was trying to like develop a TikTok. Oh my gosh, I'm curious now if I could find my account. About 5 years, give or take. I started just after the pandemic, but I started streaming regularly, um, like about a year ago. Less than that, about 8 months ago. So before that, it was more just episodes and random content. Oops. Whoa, what's happening? I'm trying to find my stuff on TikTok at the moment because again, I don't know anything. It's been so long. I forget the last time I posted something. I got one random thing up from forever ago. Um, so it is Square Compass Promotions Cameron Adamson 846. That's me on TikTok. I got a YouTube link up there as well. I got 5 whole followers, 3 following. I'm not sure there's any point in keeping it. Honestly, I might get rid of my TikTok account just because I never use it. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, it's going really well. It's been a ton of work. But I'm grateful for everybody who, is part of this journey and has made this possible. I love talking about Freemasonry. I love Freemasonry. And I want to try to turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession, and the way to do that is to create content about it. So here I am. Here I be creating content. RBA, that's a really good question. I've touched on that in the past. The numbers are dwindling. I mean, it's not a uniquely Masonic problem, right? It is a civic society problem or civic institution problem. There's this great book called Bowling Alone, which touches on the decline in civic membership, whether it be Freemasons, Oddfellows, Rotarians, churches for that matter. It's not a single factor. It's a combination of so many different things. It's the increased prevalence of home conveniences and home entertainment, which, it creates a incentive to stay home. It's the ability that technology has granted us to maintain contact with people without face-to-face visits. So, for example, if you were a Mason in the 20s and you knew, for example, that one of your Masonic brothers, his wife was pregnant and, the baby was due, if you wanted to learn if he had the baby and if it was healthy, you couldn't go onto your Facebook and look for status updates. You couldn't call anybody or check emails. You had to go to the lodge or you had to meet them face to face, and the lodge was a place to do that. Now you can join Freemasonry and basically maintain contact with your brothers without meeting them in person. And so again, it creates a disincentive. I don't think we can ignore there is a kind of a doom spiral effect in that the majority of people are going to join Freemasonry because they know somebody who's a Freemason already, and directly or indirectly kind of hear about it and get their interest piqued. So that becomes this doom spiral of if you have a lodge of 100 people and those 100 people each know 5 people, that's 500 potential people who now may be interested in joining. If the lodge loses 10 members, now it's 5 times 90 people. So that's 450. And your potential pool just keeps dropping. Freemasonry became less relevant to the people and their lives for a variety of reasons. But I think primarily it's because, there's also economic reasons, the great decoupling. As incomes stagnated while productivity grew, it meant, amongst other things, people were working longer and longer hours for the same pay. They felt economically insecure, especially in the last 20 years, which means money has become more important to them, and anything that involves making money has become more important to them, while at the same time, things that are of service to others and don't make you money or even cost you money are going to be less important. And then it's just we in Freemasonry have made a lot of mistakes. We retreated from relevance. We focused on esoteric rituals at the cost of being good community members. And so, yeah, we need to deal with all of that stuff. There's no simple answer, but both the good news and the bad news is the declining membership is not exclusive to Freemasonry. And what that means is civic institutions are struggling, which means Freemasonry, if it is making mistakes, it's not the exclusive organization making mistakes. It might not, Legend. It might not. I don't think it ever will go away completely, but certainly in North America, I think it may reach a point where it ceases to exist. My name is awesome. I've never seen it though, Kyle, spelled Cameron, Kamryn. That's a cool way to spell it. I love Chicago. In my opinion, it's the greatest city in the world. And because it's the greatest city in the world, I obviously love very much Ferris Bueller's Day Off. for its love of Chicago. Though I never got into the movie otherwise. I mostly just like it for the views of the cityscape, especially the Loop. Um, so Kyle, I don't know if I'd go that. It's really hard to say. I don't know how I feel about social media. I'm on it all the time, like always on it. So I guess the best way I'd put it is it has its positive and negative qualities. Like the fact that I can do this is social media, and I hope that this is connecting me to other people. But you can't let it be the substitute for in-person contact. It has to ultimately be just part of the contact, but not a not a replacement for it. I don't have glasses, Del Boy. Or do you mean my Shiitake apparel award? Please hit like and subscribe. Um, you say you love me. I appreciate that. I love anybody who hits that like and subscribe button. Um, I'm already made over 3,230 subs this stream. It's been wonderful. Which award? I'm not sure what you're referring to, Del Boy. I got some glasses from Shiitake Apparel. I got some awards from various different Masonic bodies. Well, then, Del Boy, you and me are the same because I have no legs also. But people with no legs are the handsomest, so it's fine. Well, you spelt it really cool. I've never seen it spelled with a K, Amryn, but I like that. I like that spelling. Good for you. Um, it's nice of you to, start out your son with something a little bit different. Make it cool. Um, yeah, I think that's awesome. Oh, legend. People kept jumping on the stream and telling me that there's a conspiracy that the Freemasons had stolen my legs. It was on Reddit. For the record, the Freemasons did not steal my legs or punish me by removing my legs. Should make that clear. Just want to make that clear because people kept saying that, and I don't know where that conspiracy came from, but I was terrified that an Alex Jones type would find this conspiracy theory, and next thing you know, they're all saying it about me that this guy lost his legs because of the Masons, and it'd be a whole nightmare to deal with. Um, I mean, it's kind of funny, Pikachu. I mean, I don't mind. I don't mind making fun of it. I make fun of myself all the time, including the fact that I have no legs. Um, so Pikachu, it's fine. Don't worry about that. You got to be able to laugh at yourself. Del Boy. Well, I mean that I'm very sorry that you lost your legs to an IED. I'm sorry if anybody loses their legs in any way. I will say, in my opinion, being born without legs, it obviously presents some challenges, but because you're born with it, you grow up kind of learning how to move, how to balance, how to work a wheelchair. Like you learn from a very young age how to proceed with life. I mean, people who lose their limbs later in life, they go on to live very positive lives as well. But I do believe it's probably more challenging because you have to kind of relearn everything. Like you relearn how to walk with prosthetic limbs, you relearn how to balance. So I feel like it'd be more challenging, and I have nothing but respect to people who may lose their limbs, but carry on because it is very challenging. And all the power to them and all the respect to them. Um, well, it is definitely the soul that matters. I agree with you with that. Well, Pikachu, as a good general rule, try to avoid getting offended, especially on streams, because you'll drive yourself crazy. Having said that, that shows that you're a good person and a good family member to help your uncle in a wheelchair his whole life, or your whole life. So good for you. Um, you should be, that demonstrates that you're good people. There is a whole lore behind me. It is crazy. Talk about, the fact that there's a whole lore behind me. I guess I should be honored, if anything. Um, that people would take the time to create lore of me. Here I am thinking I'm just a regular dude, and I've got a whole backstory. That's not even mine, that people just invented for me. Well, I appreciate that, Legend. That's very kind of you. That's very kind of you. All right. I think we're going to end this stream in a second. Again, these 1 a.m. streams, I don't have any specific topics. Rather, I just wait to see who joins and we just chat about anything. I'll be back on at 1 p.m. tomorrow. I may talk about geometry. I may talk about Freemasonry and politics. I haven't decided yet. Or not so much Freemasonry and politics, but rather, how should I put this? Rather, because Freemasonry is not political, but the I'm trying to think of. I'll probably have to work on this later because I want to make sure I'm careful because there are these conspiracies about Freemasonry and politics. I want to make sure I'm careful. So going back historically, let's say George Washington, right? Like, how did his Masonic membership impact his political beliefs? Same thing with Paul Revere. Same thing with in Latin America, Simon Boliv. I'm trying to get the name. Simon. Oh my gosh. Let me get his name correctly. Freemasonry. Venezuela. I think it was Simon Bolivier. Simon Bolivar, right? How did his Masonic membership affect his kind of understanding of politics? So prosthetics, all right. I went with the wheelchair. I used to have prosthetics when I was younger, but I decided I preferred being in a wheelchair, and I stick to that ever since. But that's awesome. First of all, Del Boy, what's awesome is the fact that you have a daughter. That's the most important thing. That's awesome. I'm sure that you're very proud to be a dad. I'm sure she's a wonderful daughter. The fact that she calls you Iron Man, though, that means she considers you a superhero. So that's pretty cool. I mean, I understand that changes eventually. I understand daughters, I've never had kids, get a bit older and then think their parents are super lame. But maybe, you'll go through that and then they'll go back around and then they think you're awesome again. So good for you. First, good for you for having a family. Second, good for you for getting prosthetics and keeping on, because I cannot imagine, I mean, what it would be like to, again, lose limbs to an IED. And the recovery time and the recovery period. So I'm glad you're here and keep up the good work. RBA, I don't know. Oh, she's 35. Okay, so she's back to thinking you're cool. She's back to thinking you're cool then. I feel like it's like teenage years. Even me, right? When I was, as a young man, when I was growing up, certainly when I hit my teenage years, when I was a kid, I thought my parents were awesome. And then I got older and a teenager, I thought my parents were lame. And then I got, a few years in. And by the time you get your mid 20s to your late 20s, you realize what you realize is they're actually just people and they tried their best. And you kind of give them a break. Well, I'm glad that you passed out almost immediately, so it wasn't painful. But I'd imagine there'd be pain after the fact, like phantom limb pain, stuff like that, right? I've never had to experience that because, again, being born without them, they never formed. So there were never any issues with nerve endings or anything like that. And I'd imagine learning how to walk again, especially with the prosthetics, would be, because I remember even for me when I had prosthetics, getting used to them was kind of painful. Not excruciating, but definitely you had to get used to how to walk in them and move in them, and they could chafe and cause rashes and stuff. It took a while and proper care of it was a thing. It was a whole time. That's one of the reasons why I switched over to the wheelchair. I just found it better, lower maintenance. No worries, RB8. So about approximately 9 to 11 of the founding fathers were Freemasons, and 13 of the signers of the Declaration were Freemasons. So Kevin underscore Jones, Freemasonry is not Judaism for Gentiles. Freemasonry is not Judaism for anybody. Freemasonry is not Judaism. It's a civic organization. No, Del Boy, of course. I mean, thank you for being here. I appreciate you being on the stream very much. Obviously, with these channels, what I talk about is Freemasonry, but I'm always happy to kind of talk with my audience if they want to jump in and mention something. I will say, Freemasonry does not discriminate based on physical abilities or disabilities. Interesting point, Del Boy. When I, when Freemasonry first developed, there was a rule for many centuries actually that you had to be a whole person to join, which meant you couldn't be missing limbs. And in Ontario, what happened is in the 1920s, a lot of veterans returning from World War One were returning missing limbs. And these veterans returned and wanted to join Masonic lodges, but were being denied admission because of the rule about being a whole person or whole man. And as a consequence, they realized it's obviously kind of a very perverse situation when, men could go fight in a war for the country, lose their limbs for the country, and then not be allowed to be part of Freemasonry as a consequence. So in the 1920s in Ontario, they changed the rule to allow those missing limbs to join Freemasonry and with other disabilities as well. I am positive, Legend. I am positive. Well, Raleigh, I mean, they're already there now, right? Like artificial limbs, people can walk pretty well. And I do believe there are some ocular implants that help blind people see, but don't quote me on that. I could be mistaken. Jeanette, I'm not sure what does it mean when the light outside the lodge is on. I'm not sure. That might mean the lodge is in session. I'm not sure what that refers to. I mean, the most likely thing I can think of is what it means is either A, there's people just in the building, or B, there's a lodge meeting in progress and just a heads up to remind you. Yes, ex-military. I assumed with the IED, though obviously there are civilians who can be injured by them as well, depending on what part of the world. Then obviously, right, I know it's cliche to say, but it is worth saying. Thank you for your service. You're a lot braver than I am. I can assure you of that. I'm a wuss. Probably. I don't know of any supermodel Freemasons. I mean, other than me, I'm not officially a supermodel. I just have a beautiful face. Probably at some point in history, there's been a supermodel who's been a Freemason, either, on the fraternal side or maybe even Order of Women Freemasons. I can't think of any. I'm curious. I'm going to type this in now. Supermodel Freemasons. According to AI overview, no evidence. Yeah, no, I think you'll get there soon. You may not even need the quote unquote like chips like Neuralink. I think it may be possible to just create robotic like almost a robotic exoskeleton that goes around the legs and you can control the exoskeleton with your mind. I don't know. I'm not a technologist. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a technician, but it seems as it's possible. Sleek Hobbies, please hit like, please hit subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. I'm at 3,232 subs, which is incredible. And I'm grateful for that. As I'm grateful for everybody who's been tuning in these last several weeks. Grateful for the fact I got over 100 subs not that long ago. Over 100 people watching at the same time, concurrently watching. That was really, really cool. So I'm grateful for that as well. If I'm lucky, I'm hoping I can maybe get, keep seeing some growth and get to over 10,000 subs this year. I think that'd be really cool. Legend Jesus, sleek hobbies. I'm going to be taking a break. What's the true purpose of life? I think everybody needs to decide that for themselves. But I can tell you, for me, the purpose of life is to try to build a better world through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. So that's my purpose anyways. All right, guys, I'll talk to y'all later. Thank you all for being here. Talk to you soon.